this is only one show on this that we're going to do. This is really critical that you help us get the word out. David Barton is here to take us through the very beginning of it. Then we have a couple of teachers, and then we have a state senator who's going to talk about this. But I want you to, as you go through this, just ask yourself, who is writing all of this? We'll tell you at the end of the show. David Barton is here. He's the founder and president of Wall Builders. But David is here because 5 years ago, he saw the progressives were coming here to Texas and try to hijack the educational system. And they had a new, really creative idea. They were erasing our religious, moral, and constitutional heritage from the textbooks. But beyond that, they thought if we could erase it from the textbooks entirely, we'd really have something. David is ringing the alarm bell for a while, exposing how they're doing and what they're doing, and they are not teaching our children, they are indoctrinating our children. And as a result of his courageous efforts, for a long time he has been attacked ruthlessly by the left and maligned, and just about everything you read about David Barton is untrue, unless it was written by me or one of his good friends. David, take us through what you're going to show us, the history of this and the changes that they have made.
This is kind of the same in every state, but let me talk about the process here. We have 15 elected State Board of Education members. They're in charge of setting the standards for the curriculum used in the state. As part of that, they get to appoint what they call expert reviewers, and I was one of the ones appointed. 6 of us appointed by the State Board to look over the stuff.
And they were accusing you of, at the time I remember, he's a Christian zealot, he's just trying to jam religion down the throat, right?
Right. Okay. It was all about religion. Everything I'm doing is trying to cram religion down the throat.
Right.
And so what happens is you start with the process in Texas. About 240 of the elite teachers in Texas, the really good ones, they come up with this set of standards right here. This is from K through 12. Every course we teach in social studies is here. And so the 6 of us then go through and see what we can find here, if we agree, if we don't agree, what we should change, what we shouldn't change. And so I want to show you some of the things that came out. And again, Texas conservative state, so we should be having conservative teachers here, but this is what this state was teaching. Once the standards got passed by the State Board of Education, we got a lot of stuff changed, but I'm going to show you what we're fighting with. Then C-Scope comes in and says, okay, we have to deal with all the things they talked about, so here's our material. And that's what you were just showing, the stuff that was going through. So since the State Board regulates curriculum, they call C-Scope instructional material because it can't be regulated.
That has gone around now, so the state has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Right?
It does in a way, in the sense that about 80% of Texas schools are using it, and it's promoted through the educational service centers.
Right, but you don't have, your Department of Education really can't go and no parent can see this stuff.
They can now as a result of the hearings,
right.
but they could not.
Okay.
And even the head of the State Board of Education was not allowed to see what was in there.
Wait until you see what David, the changes that David recommended and what they said and finally accepted. So go ahead and show us.
What we've got is, we'll start with kindergarten and first grade. The first line in kindergarten and first grade, let me just, and the red is what's taken out and the green is what's added in. In kindergarten, the focus is on the study of the self, home, family, and classroom. It establishes the foundation for responsible citizenship in a global society. So what we're doing, starting from day one, we're teaching them to be global citizens. We don't teach them to be Americans or Texans or anything else. It's an emphasis on globalism, which is anti-nationalism. We're going to shove America out of the way. With all the other things that happen, like eliminating Americanism, look at this. Identify how selected customs, symbols, and celebrations reflect an American love of individualism, inventiveness, and freedom. Now, notice the American love of has been wiped out. They've taken that out because they said they want to remove value language.
Okay, so wait a minute. So you're taking customs, symbols, and celebrations. That would be the 4th of July. But if you take out an American love, now it can be just
anybody's. It's a whole world. Anything celebrated anywhere, and that's values, and we're not supposed to teach values in education like loving America.
Right.
Here's another one. Identify how the American beliefs and principles reflected in the Declaration of Independence, U.S. Constitution, contribute to our national identity. We're taking that out. We're not going to talk about national identity. So that's anti-nationalism. We're taking out federalism, the study of federalism and majority rule. Now that's the essence of our constitutional form of government, and we're not going to talk about the role between states and feds or about the rule of majority. All that's gone. We're also taking out of the standards patriotic symbols. Look who's gone. We take out folks like Nathan Hale. You see that Nathan Hale's gone. You also see that we're taking out the Liberty Bell. So we're taking out patriotic symbols because these are American things and we don't want them. Notice with Columbus, we are wiping out the mention of Columbus. You talked about this in the opening. We take Columbus out and we take Columbus Day out. We're looking at holidays that are going to be described, but we're not going to do that. Notice this. Here's what they did do for holidays. They wiped out Christmas, they wiped out Rosh Hashanah, and they added Diwali. So, what, 75, 80% of Americans celebrate Christmas, but we're not going to talk about that to the kids. We will talk about Diwali, but we're going to take this Judeo-Christian stuff out of here. You see what we do with this one really bothers me. Identify characteristics of good citizenship such as a belief in justice. So we're taking that out. We don't want to teach kids about a belief in justice. And we're also taking out equality. What we replace it with is respect and fairness.
Oh my God.
Fairness can be anything. It's not fair to me. It might be fair to you. I mean, see, we take subjectives and put them in place of objectives. These are objective standards of belief in justice and equality. Beyond fairness and justice, we're going to remove the origins of the U.S. military institutions. That's American military stuff. We don't want to do this American stuff. So we take the military institution history out. We're no longer teaching kids that the Army got started in 1775 with George Washington, the same with the Marines, etc. All that's gone. History of the military is now gone. We talk about how evil America is. We, for example, talk about imperialism. That's something we're happy to point out is American imperialism. And we're also going to talk about how America engages in propaganda. We also talk about things like the isolationism, which, as Pat points out, how can you be into imperialism and isolationism at the same time? You know, it's nuts. And then McCarthyism. And so look at all the isms that we've got here. We'll point out everything about how America's bad, which is why people go across the world apologizing for America. It's evil America, but not American exceptionalism. And so what we do is give a steady flow of negatives. We keep putting out all the bad things that America's done, and that's what we're teaching our kids. You look at other things that we have here, and by the way, we'll come back to military in just a minute. But you look here at the balance of liberalism and conservatism. 3 times she appears in the standards. These are heroes that we teach the kids. 3 times Oveta Cope Hobby. She is a liberal Democrat from World War II, Hobby Airport, Houston's name. 3 times we cover her. But we take out Omar Bradley and George Patton. They don't even get 1 mention in the standards. So again, military history is gone by the way. We take out leading 5-star generals and put in Democrat activists.
Up, because now it's about to get I bleed crazy bad.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, as if this hasn't been bad enough. This is shocking, just this page.
These are the heroes that you get taught in grades 1 through 3. These names right here. So these are the heroes here. And to throw a token to the conservatives, they threw in 3 conservatives. Now,
They're not conservative. That's it. Teddy Roosevelt was a progressive. Kay Bailey Hutchinson, I don't even know what she was. And Ross Perot is not a conservative.
So, but they have to acknowledge conservatives. But here's everybody else you get taught. Now, they're all liberal. Well,
no. Helen Keller is a communist.
She's communist.
Communist.
She's a founder
Eleanor
of ACLU.
Roosevelt was a communist. Dolores Huerta, she was a communist.
See, that's the heroes that we're teaching in grades 1 through 3. I mean, these are the American heroes. So the balance of liberal.
So wait a minute. There's no Lincoln. There's no George Washington. These guys.
No, this is grade 1 through 3. The other guys come in later. They show up later. But that's.
How do you teach Teddy Roosevelt before you teach Washington or Lincoln?
Don't try using common sense with this.
Oh my gosh.
This is why I say education is turned into indoctrination.
Who's Kadir Nelson? Or
a lot of these I had to go look up because they were unfamiliar names to me, and
this is out of control.
They were all liberals, and it was this way. I went all the way. I did this in the upper elementary. I did this in the junior high and the high school, just looking at every name, seeing what the balance is. All right, I don't care if you teach liberals, teach conservatives too. Have a balance. They're not into balance. That was not what they wanted to do, was balance. So these are some of the standards that were had. You go back here, look at what they're doing. They want to put more emphasis on contemporary texts, more emphasis on modern content, more emphasis on current material, more emphasis on modernizing time. So what that means is we get away from history.
Yeah, but also, David, because Texan history is what has made Texas different.
Well, that's true.
The Alamo. Remember the Alamo. If you forget the Alamo, if you forget that this republic went and fought, and fought for the rights of the Mexicans.
That's right.
The Alamo was not about us. It was fighting for the rights of Mexicans. If you forget that, you forget who we really are.
Well, the flag that flew at the Alamo had 1824 on it, and that's because that was the Constitution of Mexico that the dictator set aside, and they wanted that Constitution back. Okay, a couple others to run through real fast. They have moved American history. No longer do we start with things like Columbus. They've moved it from 1565 to the present. So by moving it forward a century, thereabouts, we're going to wipe out the Vikings that were in Minnesota in 1000 because they came to America long before Columbus did. Columbus is gone. All the Spanish exploration up through Texas, across Florida,
Which
that's
then
gone.
Then you lose again. You begin to lose the basis of Texas history if you lose.
That's right. It's gone, and then you lose all the French stuff with 1541. Look at this. They wipe out, summarize the reasons for the creation of the Bill of Rights. That we don't want to teach that. So, First Amendment or the Second Amendment with guns, or the Fifth Amendment with private property, the Ninth and Tenth Amendment with people, out. We don't want to teach about the formation of the Bill of Rights. Now, obviously, I'm fighting this along the way, but this is what I'm given by the teachers. This is the one I really love. They had it define and identify examples of scarcity, and I said, and abundance. Now, I'm not going to live in fear. I'm not going to say we're running out of everything. We got a great system that God's given us here. And they objected to that. Now, here's the comment they made. Now, this is what I tried to get put in, was scarcity and abundance. And the comment they made, and you see their comment here, it's pretty wild. It says, one dissenting view desired the inclusion of the concept of abundance. That was me. I wanted abundance put in the standards as a balance to the concept of scarcity. The other members considered all resources scarce despite the amount. And that's stupid by itself. In Texas, we know that the natural gas we produce in Texas is enough to run the nation for 1,000 years, and they're still saying it's scarce.
It's like the Earth is scarce, has a scarcity of dirt.
It has a scarcity of salt water. I mean, we're only 5/6 salt water. So no matter how much we have, we teach scarcity. And this is the kind of stuff that's in the textbooks. I mean, there's so much more. But it was this that we fought. We got standards out. Then once the standards passed, and we got so much of this fixed. But then C-Scope comes along trying to teach the standards that we came up with. But that's why I was, and you look at all that, and they say I was trying to cram Christianity down the throats of Texas kids.
Okay.
No, that's what I was doing.
All right, I'm going to give you a chance to get your head back here for a second, and so it doesn't explode. And you're going to meet two brave teachers. One refused to teach it at